Hi everyone, and welcome to Just My Arche-Type, and for the first episode we're going to talk about the Sister Hospitaller. This series will be a deep dive into the lore, mechanics, models and roleplay in some of the many archetypes that Wrath and Glory has to offer. First stop, the lore. Now, I won't go into the nitty gritty of the history of the Sisters of Battle. There's countless videos and books already out there covering their origins, and it would take quite a while. Instead, I'll give a general description of their relationships within the organisation and the perception from others. I'll be using Wrath and Glory resources and also Codex and Black Library sources as well for these episodes. Sisters Hospitaller are medics, physicians and nurses of the Imperium. Armed with a wrist-mounted chain bayonet and chirurgeon's tools, they stride amongst the dead and dying on the battlefield to read their dying comrades their rights or to attempt to save or repair injuries. Sister Hospitaller are not adverse to fighting or even taking commands when need be. They sit amongst the Dialogus and the commandery of the organisation. They're a mid-tier rank, below the Canoness and parallel to a sister. Their study of biology and medicine does not just end at healing, however. They have been known to study genealogy to help root out mutations, study effects of poisons and venoms to help weaponise them against enemies, study Xenos to find new weaknesses, and even assist in keeping prisoners alive after torturing by confessors so that they can question them all over again. The archetype ability for the Sisters Hospitaller is called Loyal Compassion. This useful ability gives you double your rank bonus dice for the Medicae tests on a character with the Imperium keyword. It's handy if you're in a situation that calls for you to represent your skills as a Hospitaller. The wrist-mounted chain bayonet has a brutal keyword, which means that any extra damage dice can cause a nice bit of extra damage. You're not necessarily going to be the main damage dealer in your party as such, but with your ability and the chirurgeon's tools combined, you're going to keep them alive for sure. You also get a las pistol as a ranged weapon. Personally, I think there should have been a bolt pistol to keep it with the traditional equipment from the Codex, but a bolt pistol is a bit better than a las pistol in Wrath and Glory, so I can understand the change. Don't forget that as a sister you do have access to the Acts of Faith as well. The faith mechanics can prove to be pretty useful. These can be accessed by investing in a faith talent, giving you a point of faith to spend and the opportunity to invest in a particular act of faith. Inspiring Blessing and Martyr's Tears are particularly flavourful choices for the Hospitaller to choose. You've got a book called The Rule of the Sororitas, which you can use to recover 1d3 shock as part of a regroup action, so keep this in mind. Eventually, when your character has grown and you have a bit more influence, you'll want to grab a Diagnosta. And this will further aid you in your Medicae tests and also invest in some stims as well to further help restore 1d3.3 shock of your comrades on the fly. There are two pretty excellent and characterful models for the Hospitaller, though there's nothing stopping you using a sister model if you're particularly interested in appearing more battle ready to reflect the nature of your character. The first one seen here is the old model and unfortunately no longer in production. It's the one that the official core rulebook artwork is based off of. The second one comes on a much larger but beautifully scenic base, but it can fit onto a smaller base size nicely for actual gameplay. This model is stunning and is one currently in production. It's well worth getting just to have for your collection. There's also two other models that I've rooted out, and these are a little bit off-piste from what your typical Hospitaller would represent. But if you're playing a researcher or even taking the archetype in a kind of hive world settings, these would offer you some great visual representations without coming across overly sororitas. The first model is Synastasia Minced from the Ecludian Starstriders Kill Team Rogue Trader box set. The second model here is from the Forge World Necromunda range, and it's the Rogue Doc. Both are super cool and have some great character about them. Most Hospitaller will find that the sisters will respect them and take orders from them respectfully. You can expect to receive duties from Canonesses, however, who outrank you. The Imperium as a whole respects and idolises Hospitaller, and often a few have been raised to martyrdom because of the noble efforts they have performed mid-battlefield. The angle you wish to take is of course up to you, be it pious, medically inquisitive, or flat out immune to the sights of battle and blood. You can expect your party and the NPCs around you to lean on you heavily for support, be it physical or spiritual in nature.